Straight ahead at 6, an accident on a Bryan County highway leaves one man dead.
Plus, the mother of a man who may have been the last person to see two missing people from Carter County arrested herself.
And no school for Bell's students today due to a water pipe burst. Why some authorities say the break might have been prevented 3 months ago. News 12 at 6 starts in 60 seconds.
The only newscast in true high definition, broadcasting live from 12 studios. This is News 12 at 6 p.m.
So Greenwood was chasing them around town.
A woman arrested for allegedly firing shots just a few days after her son arrested for running from authorities. Welcome to News 12 at 6. I'm Maureen Kane.
And I'm Scott McClendon. The mother of the man who authorities say was the last person seen with two missing people from Carter County is now also behind bars. Lauren Smith brings us the latest live from our Ardmore studio. Lauren?
Scott and Maureen, one night after her son, James Con Nip, was arrested for the second time, Melissa Nip Greenroyd is also in jail. Police say she may have fired shots at two people. Authorities say her son was the last person seen with Molly Miller and Colt Haynes, who have been missing since July. Wilson police say Melissa Nip Greenroyd was arrested Tuesday night and taken to the Carter County Jail. Greenroyd is being charged with DUI, transporting a concealed loaded firearm, and drug possession. Wilson Police Chief Felix Hernandez says they received a call Tuesday night that shots had been fired at Dillard and Ridge Road, just east of Wilson. A few minutes later, police took Greenroyd into custody on 5th Street in Wilson. Hernandez explains why Greenroyd was arrested.
So the vehicle matched the description, and the firearm had been recently fired because it was still warm, and there was the odor of gunpowder.
No one was hurt in the incident. Carter County deputies have taken over the investigation. Greenwood had her initial appearance at the Carter County Courthouse this afternoon, and her next court date has been set for March 11th. Her bond is set at $1,000. Live in the Ardmore studio, Lauren Smith, News 12.
We now know the names of the two men killed in a Marshall County plant explosion earlier this week. The Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office says Gonzalo Martinez and Brody Davenport both died Monday. Their causes of death are thermal injuries and smoke inhalation. The explosion happened at Mid-American Steel and Wire just south of Medill. OSHA and the fire marshal are still investigating.
One man is dead, another hospitalized after a crash in Bryan County this morning. Troopers say around 10:30, a truck headed east on FM 22 just west of 6975 swerved into the westbound lane. It hit an elderly man in a Mustang head-on. The man in the Mustang died at the scene. Trooper B.J. Keeling says they're investigating the cause of this crash.
For unknown reasons, a vehicle traveling eastbound on State Highway 22 here went left of center, met another car heading westbound on State Highway 22 here, met them head on, killing the deceased driver of one of the vehicles.
The truck driver, Cody Eldridge of Caddo, was flown to Plano Medical Center, treated and released.
A Fitzhugh boy is still in critical condition after suffering severe burns from a gas can explosion on Monday. According to Pontotoc County Sheriff John Christian, a 12-year-old boy was burning trash behind his home on County Road 3520 when a 5-gallon gas can exploded. Christian says the boy suffered severe burns from the waist up, but was walking around and talking when law enforcement arrived. He was flown to the burn center in Oklahoma City before being transferred to the burn center at the Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock.
A man was arrested last night after police say he admitted to stealing a Stonewall school bus. Police say Dakota Amodeshe turned himself in, saying he stole the bus around 5 a.m. and took it because it was cold outside. He told police the keys were in the ignition, so he turned on the heater and drove off. The bus was recovered about 4.5 hours later in Ada. Amodeshe is charged with larceny of an automobile. Weather-wise, brace yourself for a frigid Thursday and an even colder Friday morning. Steve Lenore is here with the details. Steve?
Well, it's another one of our Canadian friends coming south, where we're talking about very cold air coming out of the southern and central part of Canada down to the U.S., and that will bring us a big shot of cold air. And we're looking at those temperatures underneath the cloud cover tonight to be in the 40s this evening. They'll fall into the 20s, though, after midnight, and I'll talk more about that when I come back.
The Save Lake Texoma campaign is receiving attention from Senator Tom Coburn's office. Robin King, the Kingston woman behind the Facebook page, says she and representatives from the Lake Texoma Association and the Arbuckle Aquifer are meeting with Coburn's office Monday. King says Lake Texoma should not be used for hydropower or drinking when water levels are this low at 609 feet. The Corps of Engineers says if the lake hits 590 feet, they'll stop generating hydropower and stop supplying water.
The city of Bells has issued multiple boil orders in just 3 months, and today Bells ISD had to cancel all its classes after a water line burst.
News 12's Daniela Rivera was in Bells today and has more.
Classrooms are empty as the water problem in Bells adds another chapter.
We got a text message early this morning, about 6:15, 6:30 this morning, saying that we were going to have a delayed start.
A few hours later, Christina Sanders got another text saying classes were canceled. And the reason? A water line burst outside the high school gym.
We discovered a water leak that's part of the city water line. And so we called and started making arrangements to delay the start of school.
When Superintendent Joe Moore realized it would take longer to fix, he canceled classes. Moore says a smaller leak was uncovered about 3 months ago on what he says is the city's water line that services the school property. But Bells Mayor Gary Marvin tells us that that line is the school's responsibility since it's on the district's private property.
We've had some issues, and the city's working hard to try to fix those issues. But there's some old water lines, and they're erupting around town.
Although school was out for the day, athletic practices went on as scheduled.
It's hard for the athletes. We don't have water. We have to bring our own, or the school has to go out and buy cases and cases of water.
The district hired a private contractor to repair the broken pipe. Moore says it's now fixed, and classes will start on schedule Thursday morning. Daniela Rivera, News 12.
Now, yesterday, we reported the first confirmed case of Shigella in Bells ISD. Superintendent Moore tells News 12 that one reason they canceled classes today is they didn't want to take the risk of bacteria spreading without water available for students to wash their hands.
Denison officials gave News 12 a look inside the new high school, which they say is 85% complete. Superintendent Dr. Henry Scott says the new 300,000 square foot building will have 2 gymnasiums, a cafeteria, and a library twice the size of the ones at the current high school, and it'll have a professionally lit auditorium. He says it'll contain 14 labs for science classes and will have a smart board in each classroom.
Technology is going to be up. The athletic facilities will all be top-notch. Just the fact that we've got space out here as opposed to where we were before.
Coming up at 10, we'll have more on the project timeline from construction officials.
Coming up on News 12 at 6, oil starts to flow through a controversial pipeline, part of it in Lamar County. Hear from one landowner and TransCanada coming up.
And Kevin Durant had a monster game last night. We'll take a look coming up in sports.
You're watching News 12 at 6 p.m. with Scott McClendon, Maureen Kane, sports with David Reed, and from the Weather Authority, here's Steve Lenore.
Well, the sky is starting to cloud over as we expected it would tonight, and that's out ahead of the Arctic front, which will bring in the cold. So look for a mostly cloudy and cold start to your Thursday. This is our live Tanglewood Tower Cam view. You can just see the setting sun over there in the distance, the sunlight from the setting sun, I should say, and the image brought to you by Glen Polk Autoplex and Super Center in Gainesville. So today wasn't bad. It was really pretty typical for this time of the year, but things will be changing as Arctic high pressure drops rapidly southward overnight. So in the morning, boy, get ready for some frigid conditions. Now, the air temperature doesn't sound all that bad, around 20 degrees, but the wind chill factor, how cold it feels, could be down to -5 to +5 in that range in the morning. So heavy-duty winter wear is recommended. Today, though, wasn't too bad. Temperatures in the low 50s. We had a sunny to partly cloudy sky. Clouds have generally been increasing as we've gone through the day. So this hour, looking at 43 and 8 for you on the cool end, and we're in upper 40s along the Red River counties and temperatures should continue to slowly fall this evening. Winds are northeast already, and this is not the cold front. The main front is still north of us in Kansas, but it will rocket southward tonight. So by midnight, 8 of the front should be through you, and we should be through all of Texoma about 3 in the morning, allowing for very strong north winds and much colder air to move in. So temperatures are dropping about 20 to 25 degrees across this front, and again, continuing to sink southward pretty rapidly here as big bubble of cold, high pressure, Arctic high pressure moves in from, well, southern Canada. You can see here on the SATRAD we have this big plume of upper level moisture that has been coming in from the west today. Won't see any precip out of this, though. This is not a precip maker for us, at least. Now, there's a little pocket of energy right in this trough that I've drawn in here, and that's going to swing across central Texas. A little better moisture supply down there. There could be some light snow, say Stephenville back to Waco, maybe even Austin, getting some of that tomorrow night into Friday. Kind of ironic that it'll be south of us, but that's where things are coming together a little better. So we're expecting no precipitation here, just some clouds, and it'll be very cold, that's for sure. Of course, the polar vortex has made a lot of news this winter up here in southern Canada, directing the heart of the cold air to our east. In fact, after this little intense cold wave, it'll be warming up by Saturday as winds coming out of the west and northwest. So we could be pushing 60 on Saturday after, boy, super cold tomorrow and tomorrow night. So here comes the Arctic high settling down over us tomorrow. It'll be really windy tonight into the morning. Then the wind will start to ease off in the afternoon as the high pressure begins to approach. And depending on how much cloud cover we have Friday morning, lows could range from 5 to 15 degrees. I know it's kind of a big spread, but it'll depend on the cloud cover tomorrow night. I think a lot of us are looking at temperatures down around 10 to 12 on Friday morning, and maybe even colder than that if skies were to clear. Now tonight, skies will be mostly cloudy. We're going to fall through the 30s into the 20s as the front comes through around midnight or so. Winds will really pick up out of the north and put your wind chills down around 0 in the morning. So let's talk about that. In the morning, looking at mostly cloudy, winds north-northeast 20 to 30, and your air temps will generally be in the lower 20s. Our northern tier of counties, Sulphur, Ada, back to Fittstown and Colgate, could see some upper teens for you, about 23 in Paris. We're going to do about 23 also in Bonham. Kingston and Medill about 20 degrees, and Callisburg back to Sherman somewhere in the mid to upper 20s for the highs. That's going to be it. Winds will back off a little bit in the afternoon. It'll stay mostly cloudy, and we might just touch freezing in our southern counties. That'll be on the high end of things. Most of us will run about 27 to 30 degrees for the high temperature. 7-day forecast shows things do quickly warm up, though, by Friday. After a super cold start, we're up close to 40, up close to 60 on Saturday. But you know what? We could rewind and repeat the whole process next week with another front, maybe not quite as cold, but, well, topsy-turvy weather till further notice.
Just keeping an eye on it, right, Steve? All right, thank you.
Coming up on News 12 at 6, part of the Keystone pipeline opens for business, and one Lamar County landowner says she's not happy about it.
And it's a slam dunk for Austin College students. We'll show you how they're uplifting students with disabilities when we come back. TransCanada began operating the southern leg of the Keystone XL pipeline today. Several landowners against the pipeline spoke during a telephone news conference, including Lamar County landowner Julia Trigg Crawford.
Does nothing really but just fuel my anger that we can be in the court system saying you never had the right to take our land for this project, and they can move forward.
Crawford has been fighting TransCanada, saying they're violating her eminent domain rights. She's vowed to walk around her farm daily to look for any leaks the pipeline that runs under her property. She's appealed her case to the Texas Supreme Court, but TransCanada insists there are no problems with the line.
What potentially people are confusing is once the pipeline has been constructed and before we put it into operation, we go through a very comprehensive commissioning process.
The pipeline's southern leg will transport oil from Cushing, Oklahoma to refineries in the Houston area. The rest of the pipeline would move oil from Canada to Cushing, but still requires President Obama's approval.
Cheers and smiles filled Austin College's gym this morning, where students competed in a Special Olympics individual skills competition. Players from Sherman, Denison, Whitesboro, Pottsboro, and other surrounding schools dribbled, shot, and showcased their skills. Austin College student athletes and volunteers say this is as rewarding to them as it is to the young participants.
We have a lot of volunteers that are actually interacting with the kids, and we're handing out spirit items, so they're having a fun time getting to cheer on their fellow teammates and also the competitors, so it gives them a chance to have fun.
More than 200 Austin College students and athletes took part in today's event.
Nearly 500 Pontotoc County 8th graders gathered at ECU today to get a jump start on their careers. Students participated in the 3rd annual Career Discovery Day, an initiative started by State Senator Susan Paddock. Now, Paddock says she's partnered with Ada Jobs Foundation and the Chamber of Commerce to help bring in local business professionals to speak to the students about different careers. She says by informing the students at a young age, they can better determine what career path they want to choose when they graduate. A nice program there. Taylor Williamson always knew what he wanted to be when he grew up, and that was a sportscaster.
Exactly, and here I am.
Yeah, look at that,
Congrats.
amazing. Kevin Durant, a monster game. He's having a great season.
Since Russell Westbrook went down, he has raised his game to a level none of us expected.
That's right.
Coming up in sports, we'll take a look at KD's Monster Night, and a former UT star files for bankruptcy. More on that when we return.
News 12 was the first and is still the only high-definition newscast in Texoma. News 12 set the standards for local newscasts in Texoma and keeps you accustomed to the best quality video you can view. 12 has invested in the highest quality equipment to bring you true 1080i high-definition video and weather maps so you can view every story with the highest detail. 12 is proud to invest in you, the viewer, to be the leading news station in Texoma.
This sports segment is brought to you by HoytDodge.com. Hoyt said, sell 'em.
Now, your award-winning local sports coverage. Here's Taylor Williamson.
With the NFL offseason rapidly approaching, teams are beginning to gear up for free agency. But according to Executive VP Stephen Jones, Cowboys fans shouldn't be expecting much from Dallas. Jones says the team is tight against the cap for the 2013 league year and will be almost $25 million over the cap for the 2014 season. They'll have to do some restructuring to get it under the cap by March 11th when the league year begins, but that won't leave much room for signings and could end the tenure of defensive lineman Jason Hatcher, who will be a free agent this offseason. Some Cowboys superstars, including Tony Romo and DeMarcus Ware, will likely have their contracts restructured. Things do not appear to be getting any better for Vince Young. The former Texas Longhorn star filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The petition was filed last weekend in a federal bankruptcy court in Houston. His estimated assets are between $500,000 and $1 million against liabilities of between $1 and $10 million. The quarterback, who led Texas to a national title in 2005, last played in a regular season game in 2011. Oklahoma City Thunder fans all over the nation no doubt cringed when they saw that star point guard Russell Westbrook was going under the knife for a 3rd time, but they have to smile a little watching Kevin Durant average over 33 points in his absence. OKC was hoping he could work his magic against the Blazers, who the Thunder were tied with for 2nd in the conference coming into last night's contest, and he did just that. The Thunder were down 5 with under 4 minutes left, and KD took over. The slashing layup here followed by this 3-point bomb to tie it up, and he got a little help from his friends, including Kendrick Perkins with this 3-point shot right there to bring home the W. He had 46 in this one, and he's now scored 30 points in 8 consecutive games, which is the longest stretch of his career, and has topped 40 points 4 times in the last 10 games. OKC will need it again for tonight's matchup against the conference-leading San Antonio Spurs. Mavs fans can breathe a little easier when it comes to their front court. They have centered Samuel Dalembert on the floor for tonight's game against the Toronto Raptors after receiving an MRI yesterday and participating in the team shoot-around this morning. He decided he was good to go. Dalembert suffered a strained left shoulder in the Mavs win over the Cavs on Monday. Big Sam has averaged 6 points and 6 rebounds so far this year. That one just getting underway this evening, and all of the highlights at 10. Quarterfinal actions in the Australian Open. 4th-seeded Roger Federer doing battle with 6th-seeded Andy Murray. Federer serving for set number 1. Murray knocks it into the net, and that puts Roger up 1-0. Federer serving up now 2-0, and he'll go cross-court on Murray, who will hit it long. Federer up 2-0. Murray battling back, though. Tiebreaker in the 3rd set, and the Brit is going to do enough to stay in the match, but Federer ultimately too much, serving for the match here. The ace will do it, and he will move on to face top-seeded Rafa Nadal in the semifinals.
All right, should be another great match.
Indeed.
Appreciate it, Taylor.
We'll be right back.
Tune in at 6:15 every weekday morning for Moms Every Day. You'll find tips and advice delivered with a dose of Mom's reality. News 12 and Moms Every Day.
And your 7-day forecast, a big shot of cold tomorrow, really cold tomorrow night, and then we warm right back up into the near 60 range on a sunny weekend.
All right, looking good. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
We appreciate it, and we'll see you right back here at 10 o'clock.